Welcome to another episode of the Blue Crew, a New York Rangers podcast on the Believe Podcast Network. I'm your host, Jonny Lazarus, joined with my good friend, Avery Zaretsky. We have an unbelievable interview today with our good friend, Mike Grinnell from Spittin Chiclets. Cody was on for the interview, which was really funny. We gave him a lot of shit. But overall, hilarious time. Cody won't be with us for the intro, but Avery, how's your weekend? What's going on?
First of all, so happy Cody's not here. He's been a real dick all day. It's just the flow is just so much better without Cody. I really hope he's listening to this because he needs to know this from the heart. Glad Cody's not here. But, yeah, Jonny had a great weekend. I went down to the Hamptons for a work event. It was like a grill experiences thing where a bunch of barbecue places from all around New York came and they showcased some of their best dishes, and they were amazing. There was like some pork dishes, some ribs. It was incredible. And I have been
farmers market kind of vibe, like a bunch of tents set up.
It was more of like a brand. So there were brand activations. So we were there with Mohegan Sun. There was also like Don Julio, but then it was like, I'm trying to think of some of the names of the barbecue places. I forget, but it was all different types of places that came in and kind of showcased. It was like a competition too. People were like putting coins and like choosing their favorite one. So it was a good time. Weather was really nice. And I hadn't been out into Hamptons in a while. The drive is so bad. I live in northern New Jersey. So it was about a 3-hour drive there and 2.5 back. I also got a leak in my tire. That's great.
Did you just go for the day or did you stay overnight?
Yeah, I went for the day. I just figured that if I stayed overnight and left Sunday morning, it was just going to be an absolute nightmare traffic level. Yeah. So I just wanted to bang it out at night. And it paid off. I mean, other than getting a nail in my tire, but what are you going to do?
Which Hampton were you in?
East Hampton.
Oh, I love East Hampton.
Yeah, it was great. It was great. The vibe's great. The people are great. Very nice people. There's definitely some characters. I'll give you that. You know, a lot of white pants. I'm sure. You're a white pants guy, Jonny. Yep. Listen, white pants look good, man.
Hey, you can only wear it for like a certain season, so why not?
Yeah, why not? Let it fly.
I like white pants.
Yeah, I wore white shorts, so I'm pretty much there, you know. But yeah, that was like a majority of my weekend. And today I just played golf. Had a good Sunday. Just chilling. Watched the Yankees. Yankees lost, but they're actually starting to play well again, which is nice.
Do they have any shot at making the playoffs? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, they're only 3.5 games back from the wild card right now, which is good. 3 or 4.5. I don't know, one of the two. But they're not that far out. They've just been playing pretty bad. Their pitching hasn't been great. But it's a Rangers podcast, Jonny.
Well, I was actually going to say, speaking of baseball, I went to Chicago this weekend, and I went to Wrigley for the first time. And you guys know I'm not a baseball guy, but like when you go to like a Wrigley Field or a Fenway Park, you know, any like old school ballpark, it is just like it's kind of different. You know, it's I mean, the game was great too. The Cubs won like 8-6, so it was like an exciting game, which was cool. But I had a great time at the ballpark, man. Like, you know, you get a bunch of beers, some hot dogs, peanuts. Like my friend actually taught me. He calls them beer nuts. I don't know if this is like a common thing, but you put the peanuts in your beer, so it makes the beer a little bit saltier. Like by the time you're drinking it, it's like it makes it like a little more flavorful. And then you eat the beer flavored peanuts at the end when you finish your cup. Kind of like an interesting thing.
Very interesting. Never done it, but it doesn't sound bad. I'll definitely try it. It's funny, like everybody, you know, when you go to like an old stadium, everybody becomes an architect major. Like, wow, look at, you know, all this stuff. But yeah, I agree. Like I'm a diehard Yankees fan, but I do like going to Fenway. It's cool going to like older ballparks. And that's kind of the allure of baseball is like the nice fields, but then it also has that, you know, old feeling and it still keeps its value, which is why I hate that they built a new Yankee Stadium. But
yeah, they should have just done renovations to the old one.
Yeah, it's whatever.
Is it in the same location? Like
it's across the street. So the old field is still there. It's not like the same field, but like you can play on it.
Wait,
it's just
really?
Like a park. Yeah, it's just a park. Like
no way.
Like where home plate was is still where home plate is on the new field that they built.
That's actually sick. Wait,
yeah,
it's
cool.
City Field similar, like the home plate from Shea Stadium is in the parking lot somewhere?
I think so. I don't know what exactly for sure, but that's like another place that, although the new City Field's nice, it would have been great if they just kept Shea Stadium and kind of did some renovations.
Wasn't Shea Stadium like a dump?
Yeah, dude, they're all dumps. Fenway's a dump. Fenway's a dump, bro. The concourse sucks. It's not like new and shiny, but that's what makes baseball great is having these like dump of ballparks. But you go and you act like a piece of shit. Like you get a hot dog, you get beer, you fucking put your peanuts in beer. Like
drinking hot dogs makes you a piece of shit.
Jonny, where else are you gonna put a peanut in your beer?
I guess that's true. Yeah,
exactly. So
and
you just
like have peanuts, do they?
Yeah, I don't know, but I you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. Yeah. No.
Right.
But back to the moral of the story. Just a great day at the ballpark.
Yeah.
And I'm not a baseball guy, so I thought it was a different perspective. It was really, and the pitch clock actually helps a lot. It makes the game seem a little less boring.
Big time.
Which was nice. Took the nerve free. The Cubs scored 5 runs in the bottom of the first.
Yeah.
So bad luck. But let's get into some hockey. We don't have much to talk about Rangers-wise. Still waiting on Lafreniere, but there was a huge trade, obviously, yesterday. And unless you live under a rock, you should know that Erik Karlsson is now a member of the Pittsburgh Penguins. I think it was 12 total players involved, 3-team trade. Pretty huge deal. I think, Pittsburgh obviously came out as the big winners. I think they didn't have to spend much to get Erik Karlsson. And, obviously the Penguins right now are a team on the back nine with Crosby, Malkin, Letang, all aging. Karlsson's 33 years old, but Kyle Dubas had to come in and make a splash, and he made a pretty big one. And Avery, how do you think this shapes up the Metropolitan Division?
Honestly, Jonny, I was really relieved to see him go to the Penguins. There was rumors that he was going to go to Carolina. But if he was going to go to any Eastern Conference team, Penguins is fine. I can deal with it. They were obviously a fringe team last year. They battled through. They're a tough opponent. Obviously, they took us to 7 games 2 years ago. But now it's just one of those things where they add a lot more offense, which I don't really think they needed a lot more offense. I think they have that here and there. Obviously it helps down the stretch, and he's Norris Trophy winner. Anytime you can add a guy like that, it's pretty incredible. But I don't really think it hurts the Rangers as much as the teams more on the bubble, like the Islanders and whatnot. But I think the Rangers will be fine. Like I still think they're going to make the playoffs. I don't think that Pittsburgh's going to give them that much more of an issue than they already do. And honestly, out of all the teams that made the acquisitions in that trade, I think Montreal did pretty well as a third team getting Petrie, who's a solid top 4 D man. He kind of dwindled a little bit this year, but he's a guy who you can fill right in. And Montreal's a team with a lot of good young players, so I think they made out pretty well on that one.
Yeah, and Petrie was there like 2 years ago. He went to Pittsburgh for like a season, and now he's back. But in my opinion, just as far as the Metro goes, and tell me if you disagree, because I really think that 7 out of the 8 teams in the Metro right now, like I wouldn't be shocked if any of them made the playoffs. Like the only team that would surprise me is Philadelphia. Like other than that, I think all 7 teams like can easily have a shot at making the playoffs, which is like pretty crazy because you can't really say that about any other division, I think, right now.
Yeah, Pittsburgh's obviously more of a threat anytime you can add a guy like that, for sure. And I agree. I think Philly's a team that needs a lot of retooling, and they do have some young studs who I think could eventually be key players for them, but right now they're just not in it. But every other team, I mean, you'll just look down the line, Rangers, Devils, Islanders, like it's crazy. The Capitals, Carolina, it just every single team's going to be in it this year, and it sucks being in this division. It's almost like goes back to baseball. Like the AL East right now is so hot. Like the Yankees, they have a winning record, but they're not even close to a wild card spot right now. So it's just like one of those things where the Rangers have to win every single game in the Metro this year. It just has to happen.
So let me ask you this question. Which teams, if you had to put above the Rangers in the Metro, do you think are above the Rangers right now?
Got to say Carolina, even though Rangers just play so well against them. But they're a force. Like they're a regular season team that's really good in the regular season, obviously. And then the Devils are going to be tough again. They didn't lose anybody really. They added more talent into Foley. And then if I had to put one other team over the Rangers, I could see the Islanders bouncing back this year. They had a rough year with injuries, but they have Sorokin, who's an X factor. He's just as good as Igor. And yeah, I could see the Islanders making a pretty big bounce back.
I actually have what might be a hot take because last year I said the Devils would be a sleeper team to make the playoffs, like in the offseason. But this year I honestly wouldn't be surprised if the Devils disappoint a lot.
Really?
And I think that's just typical teams that I don't want to say the Devils overachieved because they were really consistent the entire year. And everyone knows that I'm not a Devils fan, but I love watching them. I think they're a great team, a fun team to watch. But I think, and as far as the Rangers point, right? Like the Rangers this past year had so much hype around them that it was so disappointing because everyone thought oh, this is the team, this is the year. I mean, they had all the big names, the Tarasenko, the Kane, additions obviously were huge. But now, obviously it was after the year they made the Eastern Conference Final, which was clearly an overachievement. The Devils are somewhat in that similar boat. Obviously they got spanked Carolina in the second round, but now there's so much hype around this Devils team and they're, being put in a tier where they're a Stanley Cup contender, which might be a little bit too soon to say. So I think if there is one team to disappoint right now in the Metro this coming year, I think it is the Devils, which last year they were the team to, be that team to exceeded expectations, and now it just flip-flopped so quick to what I think happened with the Rangers last year, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I don't hate that take at all. I think what makes hockey great is there's so much disparity. Like you can predict as much as you want, but you just don't know what's going to happen over an 82 game season. The Rangers obviously had a crazy year 2 years ago, and everyone figured them out. It'll be interesting to see what happens with the Devils. They lost Brunette, and although they added guys, the coaching staff is so important. Like when you lose a guy like him, he could have been the X factor in that locker room in terms of what they were doing on a game-to-game basis. So it's going to be very interesting to see how they play this season.
I mean, I almost think that the Karlsson move, obviously, I don't want to say it benefits the Rangers, but when you look at the Metropolitan Division right now, I think the Rangers, like, I don't want to say this because it could be a stretch to someone who can just like twist my words, but they can have somewhat of like an underdog mentality. No, it's crazy that though with like Igor and Fox and Mika Panarin, like all the stars that they do have. Kreider, obviously one I'm missing, and the addition of Blake Wheeler, but like they're not being talked about right now. I feel like amongst the entire NHL, where they're like this team going in with a ton of hype.
Here's my take on the Rangers right now. They, in terms of the Metropolitan Division, they by far have the most potential. They have the best defenseman in the Metro. They have the best goalie in the Metro. They have, when he's at his best, top 10 center in Mika Zibanejad, a top 3 right winger in Artemi Panarin. Like, it's just like, or does he play left now? I don't even know. Yeah, left wing. Same thing. But I'm just saying, like, they have the talent. They just have to show it. And then they have top 2 picks who need to show out this year. They have Hedl. They just signed him to a big deal. He's obviously a game breaker. He can put up 20, maybe 25 goals in a season. Like, they have the guys. The Keandre Miller's due for a big step up. Trouba had a great finish to last year. I thought he played great last season. He's obviously might not be earning that $8 million a year, but for what he's giving us, I thought he had a really big bounce back season after a year that people got really hard on Jacob Trouba, and I thought he played really well last season. So
I actually thought they were harder on him last year.
Yeah, so it's like I really do believe that the Rangers, in terms of the Metropolitan Division, have the most potential to break out because of how good their top players can be. They just have to be good.
Yeah, I just think, last year we went in with such high expectations that you were only bound to disappoint if they didn't make the Stanley Cup final or win the Stanley Cup. So, like, I think it just benefits the team pressure-wise this year, plus they have so much more to prove after the way they went out last year. So I think the Karlsson thing, obviously it's, not a preference that he's in the Metro, but, like, I think the Rangers can only surprise in positive ways this season. I don't expect them to have such a lackluster or, really down season.
And Panarin shaved his head, so.
Yeah. It was weird seeing that, right?
Yeah, a little bit, but people are freaking out over it. It's just his thing. Whatever helps him. I mean, listen, he's a world-class talent. If that's going to get him back into full form, go ahead, shave your head, bro.
Yeah. But that's really like all I got for hockey things. Anything else you got before we go into
I was trying to think Rangers-wise if there was anything. They signed that kid Scanlon or who
AHL guy.
Yeah, who supposedly had a good year last year in the A, right?
I mean, I can't really speak much to it. I didn't watch many Hartford Wolfpack games last year, but Galen's a solid player, and I don't expect him to get any time in the NHL. Like, maybe a preseason game here or two, but I don't see him getting any games to the Rangers.
Yeah, but not a lot of activity Rangers-wise. It's funny. I have the notifications on, and every time they post, like, I just expect it to be like Lafreniere, but it was just like Blake Wheeler explaining his life and his transition to New York. So it's just like waiting for this moment. And I've been through so many off seasons as a Ranger fan. I just don't understand what's happening right now.
Yeah.
There's just no reason for him not to be signed unless they're trying to do something.
Yeah. No, I agree.
He's holding out.
I haven't heard anything, and I don't think anyone else has heard anything, so I don't know what the hell is going on. But, yeah, man, I got nothing else really.
Yeah, everybody looks for me for scoops, and I can typically get them. But this one is an airtight seal. I've tried, and I can't get anything.
I don't even have a timeline for when it'll be announced. So,
I said all quiet on the Eastern Front right now.
Yeah. Before we do get into this interview with Grinnell, our good pal from Spittin Chiclets, I do want to talk about a sponsor for this episode, and they've been sponsoring the last couple episodes, and that's Foreplay. Foreplay is an online double dating app, but it's really all about the experiences. Avery and I have been talking about it now the past couple weeks. Cody's obviously the married guy on the show, but with Foreplay, you can sign up with a buddy, you make your own profile, and you pair up with another set of 2 single people. You make a group chat, you get the fun stuff going, you do whatever you want with the rest of the time that we have left this summer, because we're already almost in mid-August and time is absolutely flying by. But with this Foreplay segment, we actually want to do something fun today, and talk about the best NHL dynamic duos that we've seen. Because I feel like, honestly, in regard to the Rangers, like, I can't think of any dynamic duo, at least in our lifetime. Like, nothing comes to my mind.
I really couldn't think of any. I mean, I guess you could say Fox and Lindgren right now.
Well, that's just like a deep pairing. That's not a dynamic. I would say no. Kreider and Mika are like a dynamic duo, if anything.
Yeah. Okay. Out of
they're nowhere near the top ranks.
No, I think out of all the ones in our lifetime, that's probably up there in terms of Ranger wise, but not. Yeah. Wait. Why wouldn't you say Fox and Lindgren aren't a dynamic duo?
Deep pair. They don't like tear up the NHL.
Yeah, but they complement each other so well. They're duo.
All right, but when you think dynamic duo, you think like McDavid, Draisaitl, or like Zetterberg, Datsuk, like Fox, Lindgren.
All right. Well, my pick is Joe Sakic and Peter Forsberg.
That's a good one.
Yep, they had 2 Stanley Cups together, 2 Hart Memorial trophies, 1 Conn Smythe trophy, 1 Art Ross trophy, 1 Lester trophy, 1 Lady Byng, and 1 Calder. So it's pretty good hardware there.
Not bad. I'd say mine is probably like Messier, Gretzky. I don't have the stats in front of me, but I think they're tough to beat.
I mean, I tried to go a little outside the box.
Yeah. Well, I'll go outside the box. Like I said, Datsuk, Zetterberg. Like I think that for me, like growing up, the dynamic duo, I think of like our childhood, right? Like the Red Wings were so good every year, and it was really Pavel Datsuk was one of my favorite players growing up, and him and Zetterberg were dominant. At least like 2007, 2010, like those years.
Yeah, and I also think Crosby and Malkin as a 1-2 punch for so many years, like. Just being able to have that, it showed me as like a younger hockey player who watches hockey. It helped me understand how important it is to have like a really good like first and second line center. I mean that they're sole reason why they won the Stanley Cup,
And then obviously like Kane and Taves, like that's that was the dynamic duo.
Yeah,
of basically our like high school years and whatnot. I'm trying to think of like an outside the box one right now, like. I thought, like, I think I said before we were recording, like, Korea and Solani in Anaheim. Like, that was a good one.
Lemieux and Yager. All right, here's one. Serge Savard and Larry Robinson.
I know Larry Robinson. I don't know Serge Savard.
Interesting. Brian Trottier and Mike Bossy.
What, did you school this?
Yeah, I did. Brett Hull and Adam Oates. John LeClaire and Eric Lindros. That's a throwback. Yeah, that's a crazy one. Chris Pronger and Al McInnes.
One of the first jerseys I owned was a Eric Lindros Flyers captain jersey. It was nasty.
Ooh. Oh, I love this one. Vinny LeCavier and Marty St. Louis. Yeah. That's a great underrated one right there.
That is a good one. Only 1 cup though. So we just wanted to try something fun and talk about some dynamic duos. I really can't think of like many that were unbelievable for the Rangers, but with Foreplay, bring your best game to the date where you and your single buddies can team up, make a shared profile, and go out with other pairs of single friends like Avery and I have been talking about. You can go mini golfing, go see Oppenheimer or Barbie. There's so many different things you can do, especially in New York in the summertime as far as double dating goes. So click on the link in our episode description, whether you're on YouTube or if you're listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcast from. Click the link and sign up with Foreplay. And with that being said, I think we should send it over to Mike Grinnell. Avery, you want to send it over?
Let's do it. Mikey G, my boy from Barstool Sports. This is a good one.
This week on the Blue Crew, we are very happy to welcome on someone who's dodged us for about over a year now. I think he said he's come on like 5 or 6 different times and just totally ghost my text. I don't know about Avery, but a good friend of ours. He's been spending the entire summer either down the shore, drinking Big Deal Brew, or God knows where. Welcome to the Blue Crew podcast, the producer of Spittin Chiclets. G, what's going on, bro? How you doing?
Nothing's going on really at all right now. As you guys know, hockey season is not going on since it's August. But you mentioned dodging, right? You mentioned me dodging you guys, and I see Avery Zaretsky's stupid face on this podcast, and I have to say, Avery, you owe us. You owe Spittin Chiclets right now a jump in the Hudson River. If you forgot, you bet Pasha that you would jump in the Hudson River if the Rangers lost to the Devils. You owe us, buddy. Don't think we're not talking about that anymore.
But did that get terminated when his contract got terminated? I don't know.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. The Chiclets boys still talk about it quite often.
I don't know if I should do any free content, though.
Here's the thing, Avery. It doesn't have to be content anymore. We just want to know that you jumped in that Hudson River. And you're I know you, Avery. You're a man of your word.
I am, but I also know you, and you're not going to just not record it.
Wait, when was this bet made? Was this like before the series started or like after the 2-0 lead?
No, it was before. It was well before the series.
We were
before the series?
Yeah, we were in Florida. We were at the All-Star game.
It's all
Why would
on
you do that?
video too. We got everything recorded.
It's not that I'm not dodging it. I just I don't want to give any free content.
The weather's been kind of shitty this summer. That's why it's not a nice time for a dip in the Hudson.
Yeah, that's true.
Grinnell, speaking of, the series, how much did Jonny fucking pay you and Eichel the night of the Vegas Cup clincher to hang out with him?
It's actually funny, to be honest with you guys. I hung out with them. Like, that's kind of what happened in that situation. I was leaving Omnia with another group of people, and I saw these guys walking out, and they said, hey, come to McMullen's with us. So I have to I'd say when we got there, we hung out with them because of me. But I would say that we were there because of Jonny and the Empty Netter Boys.
It was transactional for sure.
Very transactional. What a
See,
night,
Eichel
though.
was
Oh,
there.
my God. How cool was that? And I say this all the time. Like, so I fell asleep for most of the cut party. Let's just get that out there now. I was asleep in my room. I passed out. I couldn't handle it. But when I woke up, and we ended up hanging with the Vegas Golden Knights till 7 a.m., 8 a.m., I would have rather done what we did than what everyone else did. Everyone else partied with them at Omnia, got to see the cup, take a video, but we got to actually sit down, hang out. And dude, Jonny, we were like breaking down the series. Like we went series by series with Jack, and he was that was the coolest part, was he's giving us like insight on which happened each series. And at that point in the night, he was maybe coming down off his drunk. So he had like a little bit in him there. But regardless, I'm rambling. That was a sick night.
Long time from Buffalo for him.
That kind of just like leads me in, I guess. But I don't want to like, I said it before we started recording. This is just going to bounce all over the place, probably from conversation to topic to whatever. But I've told the story a long time ago on this show about how we met G at that Quinn concert. I've never actually heard your side of it. So I'm kind of curious to hear your perspective on the night that you and I met.
So, same thing. I was thinking about it before this. Like, when did me and Jonny meet? And it was the Quinn 92 concert.
Yeah.
I walked out of the bathroom, and I believe you were right there. And you were like, "Hey,
I was at the sink. It was just you and I in the bathroom. I was washing my hands, and you came out of the stall.
Oh,
You're
I don't
probably taking a
remember
shit.
that. I was definitely taking a shit. Definitely a big pooper. Only I would poop at a Quinn 92 concert, right? But yeah, I remember you coming out, and we were talking, and we talked for a while. And I basically remember, if I'm not mistaken, I think I told my girlfriend to like go to the seats. And I remember getting to the seats and her or once we got there, she was like, "Who the hell was that guy? Like, why did you just talk to him for so long?" And I was like, "That's Jonny Laz. Like he played at UMass. Like he's a hockey guy." And I just feel like ever since then we've been boys.
Yeah. I just remember being at the sink, and it was just like you walking out of the stall, and it was us two in the bathroom. I was like, what are the, and I was like in the mezzanine, like not even a good seat at the concert. I was like, what the fuck's this guy doing up here? But, we could ramble about that forever. But
Quinn 92 is unbelievable, too.
He's the
Can
best.
we just throw that out there? Like, what an artist he is. And we're definitely going together, Brooklyn Mirage, when he comes.
well, I already have a ticket. I'm going. So
Oh, well, fuck
Yo,
off.
did you hear
Thanks for
about
the
that guy
invite.
who went missing at Brooklyn Mirage? What's good with that?
no,
No, yeah, that sucks because Brooklyn Mirage is such a fun venue. I was there
Unreal.
a couple weeks ago to see Loud Luxury, but yeah, that sucks. That's unfortunate, and hoping and praying that kid turns up alive.
I've actually only been to the Mirage like one time, so I'm hyped to go back. What is it?
Dude.
August 31st, the show?
It's
It's
incredible,
unreal.
man.
Gee, let's just talk about. I don't know if you want to go over the whole thing, starting with Spittin Chiclets. I'm sure you do it all the time, but something I'm very curious about was a player you interviewed where you like maybe just felt like you could have done a much better job, or something that you cringed at yourself at. Like I cringe at myself when I listen back to old stuff all the time. Like, was there a player that you guys had sat down with, like, man, like we totally just could have done a better job? But sometimes you can't control the directions in which an interview goes. You just kind of ramble, and that's just how the product is. So is there one player that comes to mind?
That's a great question because everyone always asks the other end of that question, who was the best interview, and no one's really ever asked like who was someone we thought we could do better. There's plenty, man. Like there's a lot of times after interviews where we're always like, and I think it's tough because like Biz and Wit are their biggest critics, and that's why they're so good at what they do. And I try to find a happy medium of because after almost every interview, they don't feel like they did the best that they could do.
Really?
So like I always feel, and Avery's been on the road with us, like I try to encourage them as much as possible after interviews. Like, guys, you did a great job. That was a really good interview. Because right away they usually go to like, hey, we could have done better there. But that's the professional athlete in them. You know what I mean? Where they always want to be a step better. And like, that's why they're so good. I think that's more of a question for like Biz and Wit, as opposed to like who they thought they could do better with. But I think for me in particular, I don't know if like how long you guys have been listening to Spittin Chiclets, but if you listen in the early days, I'd say episodes 1 through 70 until we added Biz, I had much more of a third mic role, and I was talking a lot more, which means I'm going to say a lot more dumb shit. So when I go back and listen to some of the stuff I would say, it was cringy to say the least. Like I would ask the dumbest questions, the worst questions. And then it always goes back to like the question, we call it, when I asked Jack Eichel how many beers he would have to drink for me to score a goal on him in pond hockey. Like the worst question of all time. And so, yeah, I go back and I think about that. But there have been interviews that we've recorded that we haven't put out. Because we didn't think we did a good job. So I think we're our biggest critic. So me personally would be the Jack Eichel question, but I say as a whole, it happens quite often.
I see where you were thinking with that one. It just comes off like, I don't know, but that's not like the word.
Yeah, it's just like,
give yourself a little more credit. I don't think it's that bad.
When you listen to it though, it's so bad, man. It's just such a tough question. And
you don't have to kiss up to him, Johnny. It was bad.
No,
yeah,
I'm not, he's the last guy's ass that I kiss. I mean,
I'm the guy who's had all the bad takes on Spittin Chiclets. Trust me, dude. Honestly, I'm not even joking. Of all the places and of all the pages I've worked for, it's the one where no matter what you say, if it's bad, you'll never hear the end of it ever.
Well, Avery, what was yours then?
God, I'd probably have to say the Vasilevsky one.
Yes.
I probably ate the most shit on.
Oh,
well, can I set the tone a little bit for this argument where Avery said that this was a long ongoing argument between Witt and Avery, that Igor was like, if you had one game on the line, I think the argument was, who would you take, Igor or would you take Vasi? And this, everywhere we'd go, every time we're on the road, these two start bickering.
You think the Rangers are better than the Lightning?
I think this is a completely different group this year.
You're an idiot. Like, the fact that you think this is just...
They played them 3 times and beat them all 3 times.
Literally doesn't matter. You're just got your Rangers colored glasses on and your Rangers underwear and your Rangers socks that you cum your jizz into.
You know what I mean? Like they get like it was months later after this original argument occurred, and these two are just going nonstop. So to Avery's credit, when we walked in to interview Wayne Gretzky, the argument is going on.
I stuck my foot in my mouth in Atlanta.
The argument is still going on, and Wayne kind of asked, like, what are you guys arguing about? And fucking shithead Avery over here starts going at it with Gretzky. That's how much he believed his point. Like Gretzky's siding with Witt, and he's like, no, I'm taking Vasi. And Avery's like right away, like, no, like you're crazy. Like I would absolutely. We're like, dude, this is a great one you're talking to. So I always will give Avery credit. Like in that situation, I would have turtled. I would have been like, "You're right, Mr. Gretzky, Mr. Sir. You're 100% correct, Mr. Great One." But no, Avery held his ground there.
Well, I knew they always loved me there, but I feel like they were definitely a little tense when I started digging into Gretzky, a guy that they've wanted on the podcast forever, and I'm just digging
within
into
the first 5 minutes of him being there.
He literally just sat down.
Can you guys talk about that experience too? Just meeting Wayne. I'm sure that's a top 5, Chiclets. Top 3 Chiclets moment, right? Like having that interview with Gretzky. It was at his house too, right?
No, so we did it at the at a hotel in Atlanta when they were filming TNT.
Mm-hmm.
So it was an experience unlike anything I've ever dealt with. I mean, Avery was there every step of the way, like going out to dinner with him, like after the interview, just sitting there listening to him talk, like tell these stories. And it's kind of crazy. Like when you like look over at him, he's like this like glowing, like he really is like the great one. You're like, oh my God, I can't believe like it doesn't feel real. Like when you see him sitting there.
You asked me after, like, where does this rank on like best nights of your life. And I was like, I don't know, but you're like, what better day could you have possibly had than just hang out with Wayne Gretzky? And then the next night we hung out with Wayne Gretzky. We didn't just interview him. We like maybe got the greatest Wayne Gretzky experience that you like. People would pay tens of millions of dollars to do what Grinnell and I did that night.
The Ranger guy needs a picture for sure.
It was unbelievable.
I want to circle back a little bit to Johnny's earlier question, but so I used to watch Chiclets all the time. I fell off a little bit. Johnny's laughing at me, but you know, I kind of fell off a little bit. I was always waiting for you to, you know, take a little bit more of a leadership role there, and it just hasn't happened. So no, I'm kidding. But so to go back to Johnny's question about who you guys have interviewed, like who's maybe would you say one current player and then one all-timer that you guys haven't interviewed yet or been able to interview that you want to interview the most from your perspective?
I would say former player Brett Hull. I would say everyone wants to hear from Hully. Every time we interview an old timer, it's like Hully stories left and right.
Yeah.
So I think Brett Hull would be awesome. Mark Messier would be unbelievable as well. And current players, I would love Patrick Kane. I think Patrick Kane, he's the greatest, like one of the greatest American-born hockey players ever. I think he's those teams in Chicago, you know, even coming to New York last year. He's played so much hockey. He's played with so many great players. I'd love to talk to him. I don't think he's officially retired yet. So I'll put this guy in the middle, but Jumbo, Jumbo Joe Thornton, I think would be an incredible interview as well.
Is he not officially retired?
I don't think so, man. I don't think he's officially hung him up.
No way. I thought he was. Well, like he didn't play last year.
I think he practiced with, I don't know.
I saw him
Doesn't he
on
just
the
like
ice at
hang
one
out?
practice,
Doesn't he
but
just like
he hangs out at the rink?
Facility?
Yeah. I don't know. That
Yeah,
guy is
February
a legend,
25th. Joe Thornton's still not talking about a future. He hasn't officially retired.
That's pretty
Yeah,
wild.
they would have done something big for him. That's why I feel
Yeah,
like
exactly.
that makes sense.
Yeah, but he didn't play. It's not
Just
he's
because you're not playing doesn't mean you're not.
Yeah,
Doesn't
but
mean
he's not
you're
going to make a
retired.
roster right now, is he?
You never know.
I bet you
Retired?
there's a lot of teams that would take Jumbo right now.
Like who?
Maybe. Are you a Bees guy through and through?
Through and through. Love my Bees.
So what's your quick hitter one-liner on Patrice? retiring?
Best two-way forward in NHL history. They're going to rename the Selke Trophy after him. If you want to talk kind of like Bruins next seat, like that's a huge hole. Like that's a huge hole at the 1C. And I've been pretty adamant this offseason. Like I'm not worried. I'm not worried at all. But then once he retired, it kind of became real. And you're like, oh my God, Coyle and Zacha are the 1-2, which I've said it nonstop. Like the best the Bruins played in the playoffs were when Coyle and Zacha were the 1-2. They also had fucking Bertuzzi flying around out there. Hall looked great. None of those two are here now. So
yeah,
I'm a little worried heading into next season, to be honest now. But I don't think they're gonna. I still think they're a playoff team.
I think Jonathan Toews might end up there.
Man, I've been saying that. I actually haven't said that publicly, but I've been saying it to my friends.
It is mine. It is
I've been
mine.
thinking it a lot.
No way, because I haven't heard you say it. So
Yeah, I've been thinking it a lot, but he would be a great fit. Like I think he's like the perfect guy, like just to hold you over for one more year, right? Like just play competitive hockey this year, hold them over to next year. Tons of free agents next season. We'll address it then. You know what I mean?
yeah. Well, while we're on the Bruins, I have a hard hitting one for you. So I want you to lock in and prepare your brain right now. What's up?
Nothing.
What did you say, Cody?
I said hard hitter.
No, I think I'm curious what you guys think too, honestly.
Okay.
We'll go around the table here. Between the years 2013 to 2023, the last decade, which organization had a more disappointing 10 years, the Bruins or the Rangers?
The Rangers. The Bruins won a cup.
Yeah,
that's that.
Well,
Didn't
no,
they
not
won in
since
2011?
2013.
Oh, they will. Oh, you're right. You're right. Oh my God. Wow. It's been that long.
That is a
You're right.
great question. That is
You're
a
right.
hard hitting question.
And they lost the cup in
They went to a couple finals.
14, right?
Weren't able to do it. Lost the game 7 on home ice. The Rangers lost the game 7 conference
14,
finals home ice. They lost the cup final. It's pretty disappointing decade for both organizations, I would say.
I would say that the Bruins had a more disappointing decade, and I only say that because
The consistency level of it. Like the Rangers had that like 3-4 year gap where there was like not a lot of hope. The Bruins, I feel like, were steady the entire way.
and I just like
This past season, look no further.
Nah,
Like,
but I
best
feel like
regular season ever.
Yeah,
The
like
the Bruins gave that core cup though. Like Rangers had Henrik Lundqvist and they didn't win.
no, but we're just talking about this 10-year span
Yeah.
though. This from
Yeah.
2013, and the Bruins lost in the cup two
Yeah.
times in that span. Like cup
I
finals,
know.
Game 7 both times.
Yeah,
the,
but you
the
have a chance
Bruins
to
were
give
more
Henrik a cup
successful.
in
The Bruins were
2014.
more successful, but in terms of disappointment, they might have also been more disappointing.
Yeah, it's tough. It's a tough question
question.
because it's like in terms of heartbreak, I would say it's Bruins, but in terms of, but like now also like the Rangers have themselves set up for like a good future. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
How set up is the Bruins' future? I mean, they do have Pasternak and McAvoy and Lindholm and Olmark and Swayman, like, but up the middle, it's still a question.
Yeah,
He's a good hard hitter, Johnny.
It is. No, well, it's interesting, right? Because like I actually think if I were a Bruins fan, like obviously that Game 7 on home ice against St. Louis is tough, but I think what was it, 2013, that Game 6 on home ice against Chicago, where they had the lead and let up those 2 goals in the final like minute and a half. Like I think that's bigger heartbreak than the Game 7 against St. Louis on home ice. And like for the Ranger fans, like for me, I was definitely more heartbroken that Game 7 against Tampa on home ice than I was the Stanley Cup final. Like I really thought had they gotten over Tampa, they would have beaten Chicago.
Part of it with the Bruins, though, was like winning it for this core. Like I wanted them to win for Bergeron. You know what I mean? So like the fact that they couldn't get it done for him in this 10-year span and for the guys like, you know, Krejci and that whole core and Marchand, like it just sucks that they couldn't get it done for them. That's why I think it's so disappointing.
Pasternak feels like he's been in the league that long. He hasn't won anything yet.
Yeah.
Like,
I know.
you know,
Fucking sucks.
so let's bring the vibes back up. Who's got a fun one?
Avery.
Cody.
All right. So
Kind of
staying
piggybacking off
on
this. Yeah.
staying on New York and Boston sports, which city out of the two would you say will win the next championship and bring a championship back to the city? It doesn't need to be in hockey, so it could be any of the major sports. And what team do you think that'll be? And if you don't say the Rangers, you're dead to me.
I would say Boston. I think the Celtics win the
That's what I
NBA
said.
championship next year. But I mean, does New Jersey count? Because the Devils look fucking good next year, boys.
Well, that's all they got. So
That's true.
what else?
But
do
no,
you got?
I'd say Boston. I think the Celtics are right there.
Avery disagrees.
No, I actually think
Okay.
I don't know. I think the Rangers might take another run at it.
Really?
This is why he's so fucking delusional, dude. Next, you're gonna tell me Lafreniere is gonna put up 30 next season, right?
I mean, the guy's not even on a contract right now.
Yeah.
don't
What do you
know
guys
anything.
think about that? What's the deal with the?
I mean, he could
Lafreniere
put up
deal?
30. He could put up 30.
Points?
That's not crazy. 30 goals?
30 goals? Are you kidding me?
Didn't he have 19? Or what?
He
do you
did have
Seven?
19.
Yeah, yeah,
That is
19.
certainly not 30 goals.
Oh, come
Maybe
on.
if he sees the power play a little bit.
Yeah. If he's on PP1, I mean, I can, maybe see it. I don't know. 25 is more likely, but,
Yeah, and if Johnny was on PP1, he would have stuck at UMass and won a national championship. But things
I was
don't
on
work out that
PP1 for
way.
like a hot month. Then
Johnny-
I
More
had the
power play time than
greatest-
I got.
Yeah.
Johnny had the greatest first game of his life at UMass. Thought he was going to be a 4-year starter, get drafted in the top 3 rounds of the NHL, and then unfortunately,
Wait, what? I didn't know this. What happened in your first game?
I was
He,
like
went off.
sixth. I was like sixth in points in the first month of my freshman year, like amongst freshmen, and I was like the cockiest fucking person I've ever
Dude.
been in my life in that month.
Wait, what happened in the first game? How'd the first game go?
I scored the first goal of the season for our team, and then I scored the next game too. So I scored in both games the first weekend of my college career, and then everything went.
I was with all my UMass buddies this past weekend and just talking about the school and what a fun place to.
Yeah.
I can't imagine playing hockey there, but like, cause just going there was fun enough, but playing hockey there must have been incredible.
Dude, it was so awesome, man. Like honestly, so we can talk about college hockey too. I mean, Avery's got the Quinnipiac background. They won the Natty Ship this year. Who is, in your opinion, the best player to come out of college in the last 10 years?
Jack Eichel.
I just thought of that. You think Jack Eichel?
Yeah, no question.
You're taking Eichel over Cale McCarr,
Chris
Charlie
Oh, are we
Kreider.
talking about like him playing the year in college? Like when
I
he
just meant
played-
like the best player to come out of college in the like,
oof.
best college player. I mean, Eichel probably would take that cake, maybe.
Yeah, like Eichel, his freshman year at BU was the most dominant performance of hockey like I've ever seen. Yeah, I mean, I would say Cale Makar. I mean, it's tough to not lean towards Eichel, especially after that season last year. But yeah, I would probably go. I'd probably say Cale Makar. Man, it's crazy how many guys there are now too, though. Like, it's not what it used to be, where it'd be like one guy per team is a U.S. college hockey player. There's a lot, and they're really good.
It is funny though. Like when we used to play Cale, not we, I know the team, but when UMass would play Quinnipiac, we would see Cale play, and it would be like he's obviously sick, but it didn't look like what he looks like now.
Yeah,
and that's why I agree. Like with Grinnell, like Eichel might probably the best college player in the last 10 years, but Cale Makar best to come out of college for sure.
Eichel played there before I got to college, so I remember the seniors on our UMass team were saying like how I think maybe they were tied with BU or something like in one game, and Eichel put up like 5 points in the third period and just totally like took over. Like the craziest thing ever. I mean, that kid is also, when you watch him live, like it doesn't even look like he's trying, and he flies. Like it's like the craziest thing.
Yeah, it's one of those things where he just it's like he's one of those guys that just like you can't tell he's skating fast and then he blows by you. Funny story about Jack Eichel. He used to play dual state Huskies growing up. I was in 93. I think he's a 98, I want to say.
No, he's a 96.
96. So he would when we would do skills, you know how like they would do, you practice 2 days a week and then one day is like skills, where a skills coach comes in. The skills coach, there was this little kid like skating with us, and we're like, who the fuck is this? And they're like, that's a 96. He's Eichel. He's from North Chelmsford. He's sick. It's crazy. So like I've always like, when I've heard the name Jack Eichel, I'm like, oh, like North Chelmsford kid. And then he went to BU, and I'm like, holy shit, like he's gonna be really good. And then for second overall pick, NHL, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna jump in. I actually had a question that I just thought of. So smart man alert. So you tour obviously with, Wit and Biz. Like, can you maybe tell us one all-timer story of one trip you guys went on together that maybe you had a crazy night, or you went out with whatever guest you were getting or anything like that? Like just one best story you can possibly think of.
Yeah, I've told this one before, so he won't get too pissed. So when we were this story has some levels to it. So when we were in Sidney Crosby and Nathan McKinnon brought us up to Halifax to do an interview with them. They brought us to like their favorite bar to do the interview. We did the interview there. Then we went and got dinner after. When we were at dinner, you know how sometimes like when you're at dinner, the conversation's down one end of the table. All the big dogs are down one end. They're all yucking it up, and it's kind of quiet down the other end. Well, that's kind of how our situation was. It's Biz,
I get
Witt,
it. Johnny doesn't get it. I get it.
Yeah. Biz, Witt, McKinnon, Crosby, kind of all sitting down one end, but I'm next to Crosby, but I'm kind of the line of where it starts to get quiet. Pasha, the camera guys, were kind of quiet down the end. And halfway through the dinner, Sid kind of just turns his whole body and looks at me, and he's like, Mike, so how'd you get into Spittin Chiclets? Like, how'd you get into Barstool? Like, where are you from? And I was just like, what? Like, why do you care? Like, I was just so shocked that like he cared to talk to me and like wanted to talk to me. And it was a really cool moment. And then that night we went out with Sid and McKinnon, and it was such a cool experience to go out with those guys. And they did this thing where every square inch of the table has to be covered with a drink. So like they sit down, and like every square inch of the giant table we were at, they ordered like 36 vodka sodas. So like you just always have a drink to pick up and drink. Mm-hmm. It was pretty cool. I'm like, this is the coolest shit I've ever seen. If I ordered 36 vodka sodas, I'd be broke. But and then that night, as we were leaving, old busy boy is the drunkest I've ever seen him. Stumbles out of a Halifax bar, just takes one look at a pretty young lady waiting in line to get in the bar, tells her, come over here, and he brought her back to his room. So it was just like, that was just like, wow, like this guy is big time. This guy's a rock star. So yeah, it was that. I'd say that the Halifax was probably the craziest story I've ever experienced.
I kind of want to feed off that if I can too, because, you know, you asked it before, like, I don't know how long you guys been listening to Chiclets and whatnot. I didn't even know like what a podcast was, I think, till like 2019. It was when you guys first had McAvoy on. That's like when I first saw Spittin Chiclets. So that must have been like, I think it might've been my freshman year of college or sophomore year. So like 2018, 2019, around that time. But, you know, for you, obviously you guys have expanded. Media's changed a shit ton in the last like 5-6 years. What do you think has been like your most innovative idea? Because you guys have done a lot. Like you've done the Sandbagger, now Chiclets Cup, the vodka, the you know, the beer. There's been so much shit that you guys have created. And like, you know, I'm sure you get asked this question all the time, but how do you find new ways to do different things? Because like, I feel like we're kind of getting to a point now where there's 500 hockey podcasts. Everyone's trying to do the same thing. So how do you continue to just try to innovate and be more creative each year?
I think, yeah, first off, like I'd say our most innovative thing we've done, there's two, and you mentioned them both. I'd say it's the vodka, the Pink Whitney vodka, and the Sandbaggers. And I think those were so great because they were so organic, right? Like when we did the vodka, it was New Amsterdam came on for like a year-long partnership to be the presenting sponsor of the podcast, and they asked us to each talk about how we love to drink vodka. And, you know, RA was vodka on the rocks. I think I was vodka Red Bull. Biz was like vodka soda. And then Whit was like, I love vodka lemonade. I love pink lemonade and vodka. Like that's the way to do it. And everyone just started like tweeting us like hashtag Pink Whitney when they were drinking pink lemonade and vodka. So we listened to the fans, right? Like if it seemed like they liked this and something was catching on. So we're like Biz and Jeff Jacobson, who is kind of our business manager, jumped on the domain, pinkwhitney.com, kind of trademarked it, did everything we need to. So, and then now it's like the highest selling flavored vodka in North America. So like that, it's been so crazy to see like the growth of that. And then I think the Sandbagger too, because going back to Halifax, like, me and Pasha were like at the hotel, and Nate, Biz, Whit, Nate, and Sid went to play golf, and we were hoping we could film, but Sid was like, "No, like I don't want you guys filming us." And like Biz just texted Pasha like on the third hole and was like, "Get here, like show up here and just start filming." So we started filming on like the third hole. We did like holes like 3 to like, I don't know, like we didn't film every hole, but we were just kind of filming them on and off. And now we have the Sandbagger Invitational, which gets millions of views, and it's one of our biggest money makers just from, you know, a spontaneous idea of like Biz to text Pasha and be like, "Hey, come film this while we're at the golf course." So, yeah, it's just, and there's so many different things too, because then there's like, and you asked about like, how do we try to stay innovative? Because there's so many different hockey podcasts now, and
without being like cringe too, dude. Like it's very like organic, obviously is the main thing, but like I obviously take in a lot of hockey content, and not a lot of it is like organic.
So I think the biggest thing that we've tried to do from day one is we're not a hockey podcast. We're a hockey brand. We really wanted to establish ourselves as a brand, and we had in order to do that, we had to try things that did like. We did I went heavy into gaming during the pandemic because we needed a way to make some money. So I did gaming, and like that wasn't necessarily a pillar where we were going to grow this. Mm-hmm. And we've added game notes, and we've done the Sandbaggers, and we've done Chiclets Cups, and we've done the vlogs, and we've done, you know, documentaries, and we've done video series like the ECHL video series. And we've always just tried to make ourselves as much as possible, like not be just known as a hockey podcast, because we're a hockey brand. We want to be the premier brand in hockey. When you think hockey, you think Spittin Chiclets.
And Mike Grinnell.
And Grinnell, baby.
Can I follow up with that? So you gave us kind of the pitch on how Pink Whitney started. Can you talk about Big Deal Brewing too? And then my second part to that is I'm a beer guy. I've actually never tried it. What's your pitch to like serious pitch of why I should try it wherever the fuck I can find it?
Do you like to get drunk?
Yes. Do you like beers? So I'd say the beer kind of was something that it might have been before the vodka. Like Biz always said, like, I want to start my own beer. Like we should start a beer. I want to start a beer. And then we had like Pink Whitney kind of came out of nowhere. We had such good success with it. But at the end of the day, like Biz is a beer drinker. Like you always see the guy drinking a beer. So it was just something that, Biz was super passionate about, starting a beer, starting our own Chiclets beer. And, hockey fans need a new beer, right? Like there's no beer that's really synonymous with hockey anymore. So we said, hey, let's call our good friends at Labatt. We kind of just joined a partnership with them at the time, and they were all in, and the partnership's been great so far. So yeah, it was Biz's idea really, and then we've kind of just run with it. And then what was the other part of that question?
Just why should myself or like anybody else who hasn't tried it actually just start downing it?
Beer, man.
It's because
Shut up, bro. You drink Natty Ice, dude. You fucking weirdo.
Loser. Because it's refreshing, it's light, it's unbelievable. Like it's 4.5 alcohol, so like you can pound a bunch of them, but it has that like hoppy kick to it where you think it's like a IPA, but it's not. It's light. You can drink a bunch of them, so it's refreshing. It's great in the summer. It's
refreshing. That's all I needed to know.
All right,
baby.
so G had the pond hockey question. This is Cody's G question because that was fucking terrible.
No, but seriously, I wanted to know, like, is it?
I'm a beer guy. Why should I drink your beer?
Well, I don't like because I don't.
I actually don't think it was a bad
shit.
question. I think what he said to you is even funnier.
What?
He was like, "What do you say? You drink like Natty Ice?"
Oh,
Yeah. Johnny, fuck you guys. All right.
Johnny Ice.
It's fine. John holds his peace signs like that.
Yeah, it's bad.
Dude, and you just did it again. Like,
Yeah,
what's
you
actually
posted
wrong
that,
with you?
dude.
I know.
What
No, it's a
What is
problem.
wrong with you?
It's a serious problem.
Grinnell, for some context, so we give Johnny shit because wherever he goes, he like holds up peace signs like this, like a fucking weirdo, and makes like fucking his lips. And
Yeah, dude,
he just has problems. He has problems. It's unfortunate, but
It's not a secret.
it's the cards we were dealt in life.
It's clearly not a secret.
Well, now when I see anyone else do it, I can say, like, dude, stop taking my fucking thing.
No one's taking it.
It's 2024, Johnny. I accept you or it's 2023. I accept
Lord.
you for whoever you are and whatever
Jeez.
person you want to be.
Jeez. All right, let's transition a little bit more. G, how much time do you have? Just
I have as long as you guys fucking want.
all right, cool. Well, you mentioned the documentary FDNY NYPD. We actually had Dan O'Donohue and John Peretta on the show, two friends of the show. You were fucking running around that day. Like, that was a long work day for you. Like, you probably didn't even have a second to breathe. Can you just talk about, that broadcast? That was like an unbelievable event. I mean, it was my first game. So just touch on that whole scenario. Next year's the 50th year. So I imagine if you guys have the rights again, it's going to be insane.
Yeah, so that was a super, super, super crazy experience, and one of the coolest things I think we've ever done. It was crazy because during the pandemic, I don't know if you guys remember, but ESPN broadcasted, I believe it was the 47th annual, but it was the 20th anniversary of 9/11.
Yeah.
And they did a really good job with the broadcast, but I remember watching it and thinking two things. One, we could do a better job at this. Like, this is very corporate. Like, we could make this funny and entertaining, and we could really bring out the personalities in the players on the ice. So my first text went to Erica Nardini. I shot Erica a text and said, "Are you watching this right now? We could do this, and we could do it better than they could." And she responded and was like, "Oh my God, let's do it." And then my next text went to Shauna Puzo, who is our producer with us at Chiclets. And I said, we should film a documentary about this game. And Sean went to work, and, a year and a half later, we had the documentary, and, a couple weeks after that, we had the game. And it was a crazy learning process, just because, I've never done anything like that before. Live broadcasting, just from a production standpoint, from the business end, like dealing with, sales and, advertising rights, who owns the ads on the boards and the ice, and like dealing with all that stuff was such a new, humbling experience to me, because I had no fucking clue what I was doing. But it was an incredible experience, and I believe it's one of the coolest things we've ever done. It was so much fun to be a part of. I just think getting to know a lot of the NYPD and FDNY guys, that was a treat as well, because they're such good guys. You mentioned Peretta and Dan O'Donohue, both two legends. And it was just it was a lot of fun to be a part of that. And Sean really did. If you haven't watched it yet, go check it out, because Sean really did like an amazing job on the documentary that he put together. But yeah, the game broadcast, you know, I never thought in a million years that we would be capable of doing something that elite, that advanced, and we did, and we pulled it off with no issues. So we have an amazing team at Barstool, and it was just it was an awesome experience.
I mean, that brings me into like where broadcasting is heading. Are you guys gonna be doing more hockey stuff? Like, is the Chiclets Cup broadcasted? I'm excited to fucking play in that. I can't wait to line you up.
I hope you do. Just line me up and like knock me out the first day. Yeah, I don't think we'll be doing broadcasting for the Chiclets Cup. We like it to be, you know, we like for the fans that come to enjoy it, because it's not only for the people who are playing. I believe we had 900 participants last year, but wow. I mean, the foot traffic per day was over 3,000 people. So it's lots of people are coming and going, coming and watching. It's a hockey festival. It's not a hockey tournament, which is where we want to go with the Chiclets Cup. And in terms of hockey broadcasting, unfortunately, that's not really up to us. Mm-hmm. What we did with the NYPD FDNY game showed that what we can do and what we're capable of doing. But I think now it comes down to the people who own the rights to give us a chance. And I think like we saw what just happened with the PGA Tour and the Corn Ferry Tour and Foreplay, and how they broadcasted that this past weekend. And that was so incredible, start to finish. And that's the PGA Tour, like we're talking about. Like that's a legit company, legit one of the big dogs that are coming to work with Barstool and Foreplay in particular. It's so, yeah, like if the NHL would, you know, ever allow us to broadcast a game, I'm sure that's something we would be open to. And then there's NCAA, Major Junior, you know, ECHL, AHL. There's so many different levels of hockey, and I think we could do the hockey world wonders if you let us start to broadcast these games, because like how many broadcasts are going to go live to RA at the bar like during the game like that? Like it just doesn't happen. And like I don't want, it's tough for me to say like that's the future of what we're doing, because I don't know. I really don't know that answer. I think if that was to be a route that we went in, I think we would hit a home run. But again, those are decisions that are made by people who get paid much more than me.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's room for everything, right? Like, you know, I think that's what we're starting to see even more. And you know, it's funny. I think about us, like our show. Cody, Avery, how many Ranger podcasts are there? 100?
It's a good amount.
There's only one real one.
Like everyone coexists, though, you know, in whatever realm of hockey you're in. And I think that's like where we're heading in broadcasting and social media, like in all these different avenues.
Johnny's fucking guessed it on 79 of
them. Did you just make up a word? I've guessed it.
It could ruin the joke.
I think so.
Sorry, I'm trying not to get hit too hard.
ChatGPT me. I don't know what to tell you.
That was a good chirp.
But I think it's one thing that's I think is super encouraging to see is how the NHL is handling all the creators, all the influencers, all the digital. Like the NHL is moving in a direction I think that is great for everyone. And like the show that you were doing during the playoffs, like that was awesome. Like I feel like that's not something that the NHL would have done in the past, where they brought like doing these internet style live shows that you're getting guests on at all times. You're kind of firing away. And I don't know. Yeah. I'm just like, I'm happy to see like the NHL, like, you know, inviting the on the bench guys to events and, you know, the empty netters guys and working with you. And there's so many talented hockey creators out there, and it's good to see the NHL start to recognize them.
Yeah, and it's actually funny. I don't see like any other sport doing what the NHL was doing in that regard, like that live YouTube show. Like that was actually like the first, you know, thing I think the NHL has done differently than everyone else, which obviously was, you know, I was super fortunate to be a part of it, but it was awesome. And do you guys have any more stuff? I have like 2 more questions. I don't know.
My only other question is, bro, if you had to fuck, kill, marry Wit, Biz, and RA, who are you going with?
Oh, that's so easy. That is the easiest question.
That is actually the easiest question you probably could have ever asked.
Okay, easy. You marry Wit because he's got the money. Yep. You fuck Biz because you know Biz is a good fuck. And then, unfortunately, you'd have to kill RA. And I love RA. RA's my guy, but money talks, sex walks, baby. Right?
Did you just make that up?
I think I did. That was pretty sick, right?
Yeah. Actually sounds kind of cool. All right, so just to wrap it up, I have 2 more, both, you know, hockey related questions. if you had to put one name in the hat right now to have more points than McDavid this season, who you picking?
Draisaitl.
Yeah, his fucking partner.
Fuck. Yeah.
Okay, someone not on the Oilers.
Yeah. That was a dumb question. Damn.
That was worse than mine, dude. Holy
Yeah,
shit.
Someone not on the Oilers. I would say Matthew Tkachuk.
That's a good. Tkachuk's
I'm
my
going
guy.
Kucherov.
Dude, dumb. He just had surgery. He's not even play.
Oh yeah. What am I talking about? Yeah, he's not gonna have a good
Kucherov, McKinnon, probably one of those two.
Yeah, I was gonna go with McKinnon. Yeah, I like Nate Dogg. Give me Nate Dogg.
No love for your guy Pasta. Damn,
Pasta's got to have a center. Someone's got to be feeding Pasta next year.
it's facts.
And then last question to wrap things up, and I'm down to actually make a bet on this if you want. But who finishes next season with more points, Hampus Lindholm or Keandre Miller?
Hampus Lindholm.
I mean, I don't know. I think Keandre's going to get some more power play time this year.
Let me say this. I've said this for a long time. I love Keandre Miller. I love this kid's game. From the first Rangers game I went to, when he was on the team, I am like, this kid is a horse. When you dump the puck in and you're going into that corner and you have Keandre Miller coming in behind you, you're like, fuck that. That guy is I love that kid's game, but I like Lindholm. I think Lindholm gets more points. I'm willing to make a bet.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. You have a bigger bankroll than me probably, but we'll find something to do. I ain't jumping in the Hudson River though, that's for sure.
We'll figure something out and we'll chat about it and we'll post it somewhere. But before we wrap up, I want to say two things. One, Avery Zaretsky was a major part of Spittin Chiclets, and he has been for the past couple of years. So it would be a disservice if I didn't say that to him. He helped us out when we couldn't get much help. He was making quote boards for us. He helped make podcast promos. This is 3-4 years ago.
I forgot. I'm surprised you remember that.
Of course, I remember that, Avery.
That was early. That was 4 years ago.
So he wasn't getting. I don't even know if he was getting paid. He was an intern. He was always helping out, always a helping hand. Big help on the sandbaggers. So great to see you're doing good, Avery. You do owe us a jump in the Hudson River.
We'll talk about that.
Avery was a big part of Spittin Chiclets. And I want to say, Jonny, to you, play a little tummy sticks. It was great to see. I had you as the rookie of the year. I think I said this to you when we were walking home from Vegas, when we were walking down the strip from McMullen's. I had you as the Calder Trophy winner for Hockey Media this year. You burst onto the scene. You were incredible. Beginning of the season, I would say not many people, if I said, oh, Johnny Laz, not many people know who that was. By the end of the season, you say Johnny Laz, everybody knew who that was. So I keep doing what you're doing. You're fucking killing it. Avery, keep killing as well. Cody, you had the best questions on the pod, so you're killing it as well, bro.
Thank you, G. Appreciate that. That was very nice and unnecessary, but we appreciate that. And now you're welcome back on anytime you answer our text to come on the show.
That's the first compliment I've ever gotten from G. I worked with him for
Wait,
4
but
years.
I guess before we do let you go, do you want to plug anything? Obviously, there's a lot of shit coming up for you guys, and anything you want to plug?
Yeah, I mean, always drink Big Deal Brewing. Go to your local your local beer store.
Yeah,
ask for Big Deal Brewing. Gamble on the Barstool Sportsbook. I want you gambling on the Barstool Sportsbook. I want you drinking Pink Whitney. Maybe drink some Labatt Blue Lights over here. I got some body armors. Maybe you drink some body armor as well. But no, I don't have much, guys.
When's your next event, dude?
Chiclets Cup in Buffalo will be our next event.
Okay.
That's October 6th and 7th. Unbelievable time. Avery was there last year. It's at the Riverworks. Johnny will be there this year. We couldn't be more
excited. My cousin set that stuff up for you? My cousin's Lisa.
Wait, your cousin's Lisa Litvak?
Yeah.
Get the fuck out of here.
My wife
buried the lead.
Yeah.
Whoa. Oh my God, dude. So Lisa, let me talk about Lisa. Lisa is the hidden gem of Barstool Sports. Lisa's the lady you can thank for the Corn Ferry Tour, the Barstool Classic, the Chiclets Cup. Every time we do a live show, Lisa's the one kind of running point on all that. So she is unbelievable.
She's the best.
G, thank you so much for coming on.
Appreciate you, bro.
And,
of course, guys.
We appreciate you carving out the time for us.
Of course. Happy to do it whenever you want.
We just want to thank G again for hopping on and shooting the shit with us. Always fun talking to him. I'm sure we'll get him back on through the season, but he's definitely a busy guy over there at Spittin Chiclets. But really cool hearing. Honestly, Avery, was cool hearing your perspective of working with Chiclets too, because I feel like we don't really touch on that too much, but we should hear more stories from you because you got a lot of shit that you experience with those guys, which is cool.
Yeah, no, he had some kind words to say about me. Like I said, he probably hadn't complimented me in 4 years that I was at Barstool. But yeah, it was a cool experience working with them. And G's a great guy, class act, and he's always supported me from day one. Whether it was just doing little projects for them, he always gave me some work to do and collaborated with me and gave me every chance I could to be a part of that crew. So I owe a lot to G, and it was really cool to get to interview him and hear his perspective on certain things. And it's just a good time. And
We're gonna have to make him forget about that Hudson River thing, though, huh?
Yeah, he grilled me on that, but it's funny. I don't work for them anymore, but yeah. I might do it. Who knows?
You should definitely not do that.
I don't want to.
Yeah, it'd be a hard idea.
Yeah, we'll see.
But I think that's going to wrap it up for this week's show. We're going to try to work on a guest for next week. Obviously time is a little bit slow right now. Not a lot of hockey news out there, but the season is right around the corner. Time's flying. So we're almost like 6-7 weeks away.
Bro, it's August. It's actually insane. I looked at one of my best friends, his girlfriend's also friend group, whatever, like best friends. And her birthday is this weekend, but I thought it was like 3 weeks late.
So lost.
Yeah, I'm just so lost in time right now. I looked down at my watch today and saw the number 6, and I couldn't believe that it was already August 6th. I don't know if I explained that great, but
definitely not.
it just felt like we were still in July. Like I just couldn't believe we're already 6 days into August.
Yeah, and even June just flew by. Like I don't know, summer feels so short.
Yeah,
this summer's shorter than most, but I don't know, man. I'm really excited for the season, though. I'm getting kind of bored. Like August is just kind of like, all right, let's get on with this.
Yeah, I got a little tingle going on today when that Erik Karlsson trade happened. That was a little bit of okay, all right, we're getting there.
Mm-hmm. Slowly but surely. But
when's development camp?
Development camp already happened.
No. I mean not development camp. Training
camp. Typically end of September, I think. Like probably around September 20th is when players start to report, I would say.
All right, we're getting there. I don't know if you saw a couple of the Rangers got together Kevin Hayes' wedding. That was cool to see. It was like Kreider, Shattenkirk, and McDonough.
Yeah, I saw that. And there was like a charity game in Hartford.
A bunch of the guys.
Kreider and Mika played it, I think. So the guys are here. They're around, which is good. But
they interviewed Kreider. I wish I had the quote. They interviewed Kreider after it, and they were asking him questions about the playoff run.
I think, yeah.
Yeah, Molly. Hold on. I want to pull this up because it was actually like a good quote. He said something about how they're gonna carry it into next season
on their shoulder, right?
Yeah. It's gonna be tough to find this right now. This is horrible podcasting.
I should probably be more in tune with this too.
Yeah. Chris Kreider reflects on how the New York Rangers 2022-23 season ended. I think like every guy on that team, I've got a pit in my stomach. I expect that to turn into a bit of chip on everyone's shoulder. So it's obviously laying on them that they lost to the Devils, and Chris Kreider is a very passionate guy. It's so funny. I don't know if we talked about this enough that when Chris Kreider came into the league with the Rangers, he was a very energetic guy. He always had like a funny quote and whatnot, and now he's very soft spoken, doesn't say much. So that quote, it was definitely something interesting. I think they're really starting to get fed up with these losses, man, especially him for a guy who's been through it all. Yeah. He's the only one left.
Yeah, he's been through like 3 different kinds of Rangers teams, maybe even 4, honestly. But yeah, I mean, Kreider also, he's learned how to talk to media. He knows what makes a good quote. So I think, he knows what he's doing. But, it's going to be an interesting year. I think there's a lot of question marks and uncertainty of what to expect from this team. So I don't know. It's exciting and nerve-wracking at the same time, where last year was just a lot of excitement. But, I just can't wait for hockey to come back,
Yeah, and I feel like we're going to really try to plan and hone down some watch parties. We got a great connection with American whiskey, and I think we're just going to have a great season, and I'm really excited for it.
Yeah, me too. But with that being said, let's end this episode, and we'll talk to you guys next week. So, and
Johnny's tired.
LFGR. I am tired.